So I had a commercial business development for Primus Green Energy. We started off as an introduction. I used to be an academic. I was a professor at Penn. I chose a different path after that. I don't have the patience that you all do, and to that end, I had to get the hell out. So, what Doug and I are going to talk about, and we're really focusing on keeping our remarks brief to hopefully engage in some discussion. So I'm going to try to get this done in 7 minutes. All right, so we can get going. I just wanted to read you something real quick that literally showed up while you all were talking. Nothing personal in that. It's a press release. How many of you know Pavel Molchanov? Have you heard of him? Read him. He's an analyst at Raymond James. He covers the biofuels, biochemical space. All right, this just came in. It is no secret that scale-up of capacity in the bioindustrial space has been frustratingly slow for many years. This has been true across the spectrum of bioindustrial companies producing either fuels or chemicals and utilizing either biochemical or thermochemical platforms. Put simply, there have been too few successful operational milestones. Okay, so big problem, right? Yet today was announced the opening of the first commercial scale facility for the bio-based production of a major intermediate chemical, namely butanediol, BDO, 30,000 metric ton facility. That's tiny, 100 million euros. Okay, so you want to get to market, you want to get these technologies out there. A small facility costs 100 million euros. Okay, our small facility on a bio base would cost about $100 million. It takes $100 million to get to the point where you can spend $100 million on a facility. I don't know a bio-based company, and maybe Doug, you know differently, that has spent less than $100 million to get to the first plant. All right, so you may produce something in your labs, you may produce stuff in universities, but somebody's going to have to spend $100 million to get the commercial blueprints to go spend $100 million to build a plant, at a minimum. The industry, the country has been burned repeatedly over the last decade by hollow promises on biochemicals and biofuels. Billions of dollars have gone down the tubes and not produced what they're supposed to do. All right, so there's a challenge. There's a perception out there that this isn't going to work. Right? I'll tell you a little bit about our company and how we pivoted, how shale gas is going to help and low-cost natural gas is going to help biofuels. At least it's going to help us, all right? Which will help, I think, biofuels. Another way to put it is gray is the way to green, okay? You got to go through black. You just can't hop to green. You probably have to go through gray on the way there. All right, so we're a little company based in Hillsborough, New Jersey, down Princeton ways. What we do is we make small-scale gas-to-liquids systems. We started taking wood pellets, converting that to syngas. Syngas is this combination of carbon monoxide and hydrogen, the basic building blocks of hydrocarbons. Okay? Syngas, hydrogen plants are used in petrochemical plants all around the world. Hydrogen's a pretty important piece in hydrocarbons. All right? So you take biomass, you convert it to syngas, then you take that syngas and you put it through a series of thermocatalytic reactors. You know, big cans filled with marbles, all right, at high temperature. You move the gas over that, and you take these building blocks of CO and hydrogen, and you make larger molecules, like methanol, dimethyl ether, gasoline. That's what we do. We started with biomass. We made a really great biomass gasifier that would clog up every 200 hours. Then we'd have to clean it up and start all over again. I was brought in as part of the team to turn the company around. And the first thing we did was said, we're dropping biomass. It's not going to work. We're going to work on the downstream piece, okay, further downstream, where you get syngas from some other source and convert the molecules to methanol or gasoline. The reason we did that is there's just so many dollars and there's so much time, and you've got a patient investor. This patient investor, single investors, put $85 million into our company. So what we did is we got really good at converting syngas into these other molecules. And also we did it at small scale. You can't build these enormous plants. You saw the scaling of these plants earlier. okay? Or you're never going to build $1 billion plant as your first plant. It's just not going to happen. Maybe 50 million, maybe 100 million. So you have to be able to work at small scale. That's very important. So what we've done is figured out how to make standardized modular units, all right? So you can build them in factories and drive down your CapEx. We're 50 people. You're all welcome to come and visit. Sir Peel's been there. You've been there as well. No?
Not yet.
Come on. Well, come on. What are you waiting for? So this is our system. We take feed gas, natural gas, NGLs or natural gas liquids. That's anything C1 to C5, methane, ethane, propane, butane, pentane. Or we can take syngas from an existing plant. We put it through our black box, which is a green box in this case, all right? And we make a single ready-to-use product, gasoline or methanol. The way we drive down price is we make only one product stream. We don't make a whole slate of things that you have to treat on the back end. 100% standard components. This is all process engineering. We're really good at integrating. We're really good at cutting out process. Ben Franklin once wrote, and I apologize for writing such a long letter. Had I more time, it would have been shorter. Okay? Our plant is the longer letter. Okay? 4 years of engineering to drive down the cost before we went to the commercial plant. We have very long catalyst lifetime. We're very flexible, and we don't have any waste products in this. The only emissions from our plants are the burners on the SMR, low NOx, low SOx burners. All the water's recycled. There's really no wastewater, and there's no lights that escape into the environment. Everything's prefabricated. You make this in modules in a factory. You take it to the site. You bolt it together. You get very efficient use of capital. You order a plant today, you have methanol in 15 months. We can probably get that down to 12 months. That's unheard of in this industry. If you're building a large commercial plant, you've got 2 years of engineering, 2 years of build time, 4 years while you're spending money and not getting anything for that capital. So you standardize these plants and you can get there quickly. So when you think about these things, about the processes you're developing, you've got to think backwards. Can I build a plant for $50 million? If I can't build a plant for $50 million, maybe $75 million, don't even start. Go back to the drawing board and figure it out, because you're never going to get more money than that. There's a lot of capital out there, but unless you can show really good returns at this scale, you're not going to be able to build a large plant. Our business is small scale next to the customer. So there's a big problem out there. Methanol, for instance, is all made on the Gulf Coast in enormous mega plants. You want methanol in Pittsburgh, they put it on a train, they bring it to Pittsburgh, they unload it. They put it on a truck, they take it to your factory. Right? That costs 25 cents a gallon to get it to Pittsburgh, in addition to all the CO2 that it took to get there. Or they put it on a barge, take it up the Ohio River, same type of thing. You want it in Alberta, they put it on a train, they take it up to Alberta at 45 cents a gallon. Also, the natural gas is cheaper up there in Alberta and in Pittsburgh by about 5 to 10 cents a gallon for methanol. So we have a cost advantage about 40 to 50 cents depending on where we are in building these small plants. Right? This is important. We can compete with the big guys in this case. It's gray. We've reduced that greenhouse footprint getting from the Gulf Coast to where we're going. Right? We have engineered all the cost out of our system on the downstream system. What we are all waiting for is somebody to figure out how to make syngas from biomass or syngas from MSW. Okay? That's what I need. I need green syngas. And there is no green syngas out there yet. Believe me, I look at everybody's technology. And there's no green syngas out there that can feed our beast. But when it's ready, we'll be the best system to do that. This just gives you an idea of where the shale plays are in the U.S. and where we're putting plants and the cost to get from the Gulf Coast to there. In all these systems, in ours, in other industries, you've got to get to small distributed systems. Ethanol is that way, right? You have small distributed plants throughout. Any bio-based system has to be small, it has to be distributed, it has to scale appropriately to the resources that are available. We figured out a way to do that. Again, if you know anybody who can make syngas from anything renewable, have them come talk to me. I know a couple that are getting close, but nobody's there yet. And this just is a quick review of our first plant. It's going up on the Ohio River in the Marcellus. It's 160 metric tons a day. It's a small plant. That's 55,000 metric tons a year. It costs about $50 million. We've sold out the plant. We can expand on that site. We are looking at a variety of green syngas production methods. We're working with two companies that are, one that's capturing flue gas, okay, that can give us syngas. We're looking at another one, looking at a couple that are pulling CO2 out of the atmosphere. And our pilot plant, our demonstration plant down in Hillsborough has space that if you've got a little syngas unit you want to test out, you can plug it into our plant and make product with it and prove it out. So we're talking to all the syngas people out there that are making green syngas and saying, bring it. We want to see it. We want to try it out. We can make it work. We can also take up to a 20% CO2 stream, 25% CO2 stream as feed gas into our system. So if there is a source of CO2 at a site, we can take that in. So what we've done, what we've been able to do is pivot away from biomass because there was no way to make good syngas, optimize our downstream unit, work with all this really, natural gas is fantastic, right? It's carbon, it's 4 hydrogens, there's nothing else to deal with. They deliver it to you in a pipe, all right? And it's cheap, it's an amazing thing. So for all those thermochemical processes like ours, okay, cheap natural gas is fantastic. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, it's biomass, it's 400 million year old biomass, but it's still just a fantastic thing to perfect your systems cost effectively. So for all of us, just like, low cost natural gas is here to stay. I'm a geologist. I used to take my students out to the Marcellus and bang on the rocks with hammers. You could smell the organic matter come out, and the students would ask me, why can't we get the natural gas out? Well, it's in there too tight. Well, we figured out how to get it out. And at a first approximation, there's an infinite amount of natural gas under Pennsylvania, okay? Low-cost natural gas does provide opportunities for downstream groups like us waiting for the biomass to come, right? Upstream conversion technologies are challenging. Now, we had to get out of it. We made syngas probably another 10 and probably another 5 years and $50 million, and we probably could have gotten to making a really good syngas from wood pellets, all right? But it wasn't going to be cheap. And in a world of $45 a barrel crude, you're not going to get there too quickly. With today's technologies, $100 a barrel crude, you might get more interest in bio-based fuels. You got to be around that. Anything lower than $100 a barrel, you're not going to generate any interest. You've all heard this before, focus on high-value molecules and then iterate, okay? You got to iterate really quickly. If something doesn't work, try it again. Try something else, try something else. In academia, I had to get out, the pace was too slow, all right? But and some of you, I hear a little bit of demonization of the industry, okay? Let me tell you something. There are a lot of smart people in industry that do a lot of good stuff, that get shit done, okay? They put stuff in the field, they make it work, they make money, they care about the environment, okay? And they are smart, all right? We worked with Hess up in the Bakken to reduce flare. If you want to see a great opportunity, want to watch industry and the state and all the stakeholders get together, look at the history of how they reduced the flare in the Bakken, okay? There are some really smart people trying, there must have been 10 different technologies up there, and they were trying every single way to drive down flare usage out there, okay? So there are some really smart scientists and engineers in the industry. I would say for some of you that are developing technologies, talk to them early, okay? Don't ask them for money. Ask them to come into your lab and pick their brains. Don't ask them to do sponsored research. They will get there eventually, maybe, but you can learn so much from them, bringing them into your labs and understanding. I think that's a great opportunity for you all. I mean, the stuff that Penn State's doing is a really great example of how you can combine industry and the university together, and you're seeing a little bit of that here today. That's it, I'll stop.